Caitlin Clark is rewriting the narrative of basketball with her jaw-dropping performances and fearless style, captivating the attention of fans, analysts, and even NBA legends who rarely comment on the WNBA. Never before has a player sparked such a mix of admiration and debate among the biggest names in the game. From her record-breaking stats to her revolutionary impact on the court, Caitlin is inspiring a new era in women's basketball. However, her rise has not been without resistance. Critics have doubted her and tried to bring her down, but now two of the greatest basketball legends, Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, have weighed in. What they had to say about Caitlin Clark is nothing short of game-changing. Michael Jordan, stepping into the conversation after all the buzz surrounding Caitlin, shared his thoughts, and his perspective changes everything. He stated that the WNBA owes Caitlin a great deal for what she has done for the game. But Jordan didn't stop there. He called for a complete overhaul in officiating, emphasizing that the referees have been blatantly unfair to Caitlin, and it's time for the league to step up and make things right. His words resonate powerfully, as the WNBA must not only acknowledge Caitlin's impact, but also ensure she receives the respect she deserves, both from her peers and from the officials on the court. It's not every day that the greatest of all time steps in to defend a player, and Jordan's comments make it clear Caitlin Clark is a game changer. Allen Iverson, one of the most electrifying stars of his era, redefined the NBA much like Caitlin Clark is transforming the WNBA today. Both players became household names during their college careers, entering the professional leagues under immense pressure and sky-high expectations. Despite not being the most physically dominant athletes, they commanded respect through sheer skill and determination. Iverson mesmerized fans with his iconic killer crossover, leaving defenders stunned and reshaping the way the NBA approached face-up ball handling, a style deeply rooted in street basketball. Similarly, Caitlin Clark has become a role model for countless young girls who strive to emulate her fearless play style and sharp basketball IQ. Iverson himself recognizes Clark's immense talent. In a recent interview, he shared his thoughts on what sets her apart and why she's a true game changer for the sport, highlighting her unique skills and unshakable mindset.
Man, shoot the blood out of the ball. You know what I mean? I never seen anything like it. You know what I mean? And then just how aggressive she is, and not just scoring in basketball, getting her teammates involved as well. I think she's so great for the game. You know what I mean? It was a pleasure watching her, and I just think down the road, she's going to only get better.
Allen Iverson knows what it takes to be a team's offensive engine, and he sees those same qualities in Caitlin Clark. During his peak years, Iverson carried the scoring load for his team, much like Clark is doing now. He praised her relentless aggression on the court, a trait that's essential for players tasked with being their team's go-to scorer. But Iverson also highlighted what sets the all-time greats apart: elite playmaking. Even as the youngest player on her team, Clark has an innate ability to elevate those around her with her vision and unselfishness, proving that her game is about more than just scoring. It's about making everyone around her better. Like Iverson, Caitlin Clark is known as a floor raiser. She makes everyone around her better through her skill and basketball IQ. Iverson himself famously led a less than stellar supporting cast to the NBA Finals, relying on his ability to score at will. With time and growth, Iverson believes Caitlin Clark will continue to elevate her game and her team. He's confident her best days are ahead, and that it's only a matter of time before she learns how to take her squad to even greater heights. Now, the challenge lies with the Indiana Fever. Can they surround their young superstar with the right pieces to help her achieve the kind of success Iverson once did? Charles Barkley, an NBA legend and one of the most recognizable voices in sports media, has also taken notice of Caitlin Clark's rise. With over 2 decades of experience as an analyst and a celebrated career as an NBA All-Star, Barkley brings a unique perspective to his observations. He's no stranger to the spotlight, having navigated his own controversies during his playing days. His time in the media has helped him refine his approach and connect with fans in a new way. Barkley has expressed admiration for how Caitlin Clark handles herself both on and off the court. It's not just about being great on the court. Clark manages the media, the fans, and the expectations like a seasoned pro. That's a rare quality, especially for someone so young. It's a balancing act that Barkley knows well, and seeing Clark excel at such a young age clearly leaves an impression on the Hall of Famer.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, 2 things I like. She's playing much faster.
Yeah.
Much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season. She
I think she
started to
was
realize-
tired. I think she was banged up from the
first of
college
all,
season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been ready for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the no. She came straight out of college.
Caitlin Clark succeeds in every aspect of the game, both inside and out, due to her exceptional attitude toward her work. She faced immense pressure from fans and franchises and exceeded all expectations. Despite taking hits from her competitors, she proved herself tougher than them. Most impressively, she has continued to improve throughout the season. She has quickly learned to outplay her peers in the WNBA, which is no easy task given the significant differences between college basketball and the professional WNBA system. The physical demands of the WNBA take a toll on a player's body in ways that fans often can't see or even imagine. This is especially true for Caitlin Clark, given the added physicality that opposing teams direct at her. The only way to withstand this is through diligent physical preparation, which allows her to absorb the hits throughout the long WNBA season. This aspect of her game has been a pleasant surprise for fans, as she was initially seen as a supreme talent without extraordinary physical traits. Dominance in sports can take many forms. Shaquille O'Neal, often regarded as the most dominant basketball player of all time, has made it clear that there's no argument needed about his legacy. Interestingly, Shaquille O'Neal has also expressed admiration for Steph Curry, calling him his favorite player in today's NBA. Despite their stark differences in physicality and playing style, the two share a mutual respect for each other's greatness. Shaq extends that same admiration to Caitlin Clark. Speaking on Angel Reese's podcast, Unapologetically Angel, Shaq openly praised Caitlin's remarkable talent, even though she is Angel's fiercest competitor. He highlighted Caitlin's dominance on the court, despite her smaller frame, drawing parallels to Steph Curry's unique impact. According to Shaq, both Caitlin and Steph have revolutionized their respective leagues, bringing a fresh and unparalleled excitement to the game. He believes this is the key to driving a league's success.
Why do you think people love Caitlin Clark, besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like, Steph Curry, I love. You know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. I've seen it a little bit in Mahmoud Abdul-Roh, but I've never seen a guy consistently come down. And if you look at, like, if you saw Steph on the street, he ain't got the LeBron muscles. He's not 6'9", he's 6'10". He look like a perfect, normally office guy.
Yeah.
He's doing stuff that people never seen before. She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis.
Shaq's discussion revealed several compelling insights. Foremost among them was his recognition of Caitlin Clark's ability to achieve feats no other WNBA player has accomplished. Even Angel Reese, Caitlin's fiercest competitor, has conceded this point. However, Angel's remarks seem to minimize Caitlin's talents, dismissing her abilities with the statement, "She can shoot threes from the logo yet. This is no small feat. It's a remarkable skill that electrifies fans and showcases an immense amount of dedication and practice. Mastering such a shot takes incredible precision and effort, and it deserves to be celebrated as a legitimate talent." Shaq clearly understands that Caitlin's extraordinary shooting ability is a major factor in attracting new fans to the WNBA. His comments could also be interpreted as a subtle challenge to Angel Reese, who has publicly insisted that Caitlin isn't the sole driver of the league's growing popularity. However, Angel's inability to match Caitlin's long-range shooting prowess might have fueled some underlying envy. Shaq's admiration underscores his belief that Caitlin Clark is a pivotal figure in elevating the WNBA's prominence and appeal. The rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has become a cornerstone of the WNBA's burgeoning popularity. This dynamic evokes the early years of the NBA in the 1970s, when the league struggled to attract enough viewers to justify live televised games, a stark contrast to its current status as a media giant. What changed? The arrival of two generational talents, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Their legendary showdown in the NCAA tournament finals shattered viewership records and reignited national interest in basketball. Similarly, the women's NCAA tournament recently broke viewership records, sparking a media frenzy around women's basketball. At the heart of this phenomenon is the intense rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Their simultaneous entry into the WNBA has ushered in a wave of new fans, drawing comparisons to the NBA's transformative growth in the 1980s. Many have dubbed Angel and Caitlin the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird of the WNBA. A comparison so widespread that even Magic Johnson himself has weighed in. Unsurprisingly, he agrees. Moreover, he sees Caitlin Clark as a player with the potential to become the greatest in the league's history.
Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best later on by our play. Caitlin still has to play great to become the best WNBA player.
Magic Johnson has been an avid supporter of the WNBA for a while now. As the owner of the Los Angeles Sparks, he has always believed that the WNBA would eventually become a popular and thriving business, just like the NBA. Nowadays, his prediction is looking promising. He spoke about the rise in the WNBA's popularity, particularly with the spectacle and rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, drawing comparisons to his own rivalry with Larry Bird. One can now hope that the WNBA will undergo the same positive financial changes that the NBA experienced. It's starting to come together, and the benefits are already becoming apparent. The change in gameplay brought by Magic Johnson and Larry Bird was a huge factor in transforming the NBA. With Caitlin Clark being on an elevated tier of skill compared to most WNBA players, it's likely her talent will influence how other players train and how teams design their playstyles. When Magic Johnson entered the NBA, he revolutionized offenses with his incredible talent and basketball IQ, quickly establishing himself as the league's best point guard, a legacy that still stands today. Caitlin Clark could have a similar impact on the WNBA. Magic Johnson's thoughts on Caitlin Clark are impressive, but stay tuned for what Larry Bird had to say about her. When people say point guard, there's one name that stands above all others: Chris Paul. He is considered the ideal version of a traditional point guard, dissecting defenses with his scoring ability and advanced playmaking instincts. This is similar to how Caitlin Clark is dismantling WNBA defenses today. There was a passing of the torch moment when Chris Paul reflected on Caitlin Clark's Rookie of the Year campaign, comparing it to his own from many years ago. They've also built some camaraderie through their mutual endorsement of State Farm,
making her the first athlete since Michael Jordan to get their own signature basketball from Wilson. She also becomes the first WNBA player to get her own signature basketball from Wilson.
The WNBA is buzzing, and for good reason. Caitlin Clark has just cemented her status as a once-in-a-century phenomenon. She's become the first athlete since Michael Jordan to secure her very own signature basketball shoe. Yes, that Michael Jordan, the most iconic and valuable athlete in the world. This milestone not only underscores Clark's extraordinary talent, but also highlights her immense influence on the sport, putting her in the same conversation as basketball's greatest legend.
It was like Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, probably eventually Caitlin Clark, where it's like individual people make an entire country tune into their sport.
1,000%.
Like hockey was never bigger than when Wayne Gretzky was playing it, and it was ridiculous how much it grew the sport.
Tiger Woods.
And Caitlin? She's already reached that level in just her rookie year in the WNBA. Her impact goes far beyond basketball fans. She's shaking up the entire sports world, proving that her influence is boundless and her star power undeniable.
Congratulations to her and her family. Yeah. The crazy thing is I'm just seeing her last year when they played LSU, but she's phenomenal.
Despite her achievement, Caitlin quickly found herself at the center of a media firestorm. The reason? Her honest remarks about privilege and race, which apparently struck a nerve with some people, proving that discussing these topics is still too much for certain individuals to handle.
I think Caitlin Clark is already one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time, purely for the fact of what she has done on the court and also the kind of eyeballs that she has brought to a sport that really never had this kind of fame behind it, this kind of fandom behind it.
After her Time magazine interview went live, the backlash came pouring in, with critics attacking every word Caitlin Clark said. But here's the twist: instead of backing down, Clark stood her ground. What followed was a wave of support from some of the most legendary figures in sports: LeBron, Serena, MJ. They all came out swinging to defend her. It was like the sports world's version of the Avengers assembling, and trust me, they were not here for the nonsense.
And I feel like you have had to answer more questions than anybody about the intersectionality of race and gender and sexuality in sport.
Caitlin Clark found herself at the center of a media firestorm, but it wasn't because of her record-breaking performances or her signature three-point shots. No, it was because she had the audacity to be competitive, a crime, apparently, when you're a woman. The backlash was as swift as it was ridiculous, with critics scrambling to label her a villain simply for doing what athletes do best: competing with passion.
I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last 2.5 years, it's all kind of changed where, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
And just when the noise from her critics reached a fever pitch, Caitlin Clark did what she does best. She took control of the narrative. In a bold and groundbreaking interview with Time magazine, where she was named Athlete of the Year for 2024, she dropped a truth bomb that sent the media and the world into a frenzy.
Feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it, though, so you should give her a pass.
In a world where accountability is often ignored, Caitlin Clark dared to admit that her success wasn't just about her relentless work ethic. It was also shaped by the privileges she was born with. And if you think that was the end of it, buckle up, because Clark wasn't stopping there.
Favorite player was Maya Moore. I know what this league was about. And like I said, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing Black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important.
Clark used her platform to shine a light on others. She acknowledged the foundational role that Black athletes like Maya Moore played in shaping the WNBA, highlighting how their contributions were instrumental in getting the league to where it is today.
Things stemming from Caitlin Clark's Time magazine interview, I could have never guessed that interview would stir up so much controversy.
And the world, well, they didn't quite know what to do with her. Some saw her words as a breath of fresh air, an athlete who wasn't afraid to tackle the tough issues head on. Others, however, weren't ready for this conversation and lashed out.
The players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism.
Her unparalleled court vision and revolutionary passing ability elevated her game to a new level, making everyone around her better with every play. She transformed the Iowa Hawkeyes into must-watch television, captivating audiences and redefining what it means to dominate the court. Caitlin Clark's games weren't just selling out arenas, they were shattering viewing records. The 2024 NCAA Championship game drew an astounding 18.7 million viewers, surpassing the audience for many NBA and NFL games. She wasn't just a basketball player anymore, she had become a cultural phenomenon.
Decision to make, right? Maybe in any other year, you give this to Simone Biles, because I think her comeback in the Olympics was amazing. I mean, people pretty much did the postscript on her career. And after what happened to her in Tokyo, it's incredible. However, I mean, we've never, ever seen somebody in this way capture an audience, capture a new audience, and be able to absolutely attribute.
What truly sets Clark apart is more than her ability to score from anywhere on the court, it's her relentless competitive fire. In practices, she would often stay late perfecting her signature step-back three-pointer. Her coaches later revealed that she frequently arrived hours before scheduled practices, tirelessly working on her game while most people were still asleep. Clark's influence on college basketball extended far beyond her personal achievements. She inspired a movement redefining the sport and showing what's possible with hard work, talent, and an unyielding passion for greatness. Jersey sales skyrocketed, ticket prices soared, and young girls across the country began mimicking Caitlin Clark's iconic playing style. Basketball camps saw record enrollments with aspiring players eager to learn how to shoot like her. Clark wasn't just a star on the court, she was a role model and an inspiration, igniting a new wave of enthusiasm for women's basketball. People don't just listen to her, they buy into her.
The reality is that from a marketing perspective, Caitlin Clark is worth more than almost any pro basketball player in the world.
Then there are her endorsement deals, which are in a league of their own. Nike, Wilson, State Farm, the big players in the game have all thrown their hats into the ring. Nike reportedly signed her for millions, and they didn't even need a pitch. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to convince anyone of her worth, her name does all the talking. State Farm probably broke their advertising budget just to have her appear in one of those quirky commercials. Wilson, the iconic basketball brand, practically wrote her a blank check. Each deal cements her position not just as a player, but as a global icon. The WNBA just got brutally exposed after Caitlin Clark's insane ticket sales were leaked. Turns out she generates 25% of ticket sales, merchandise, and TV ratings. Clark is basically the WNBA's walking stimulus package, bringing in millions for the league. Yet, despite all the revenue she helps generate, she's only making $76,000 a year. Let that sink in. The WNBA has a gold mine in Clark, but they're paying her like she's working the concession stand. It's a harsh reality. They might not have noticed, but Caitlin Clark doesn't just play basketball, she changes the game. Whether the league likes it or not, the fans are here for her.